off and pass them on to the previous committee also.
Okay.
Make sure that the meetings are posted. I'll do what I can, but I'm trying to go more into the background and let the next generation take over. I'd like to see another 1 or 2 people.
Yeah,
When
Okay.
we just need to know, I mean, honestly, it's like, it comes down to just, as soon as we know what the rules are and what we need to be doing on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Well, that's
you know,
why I
we'll make
figured
sure
I
that
would
we're-
stay.
Yeah.
But you
Okay.
really need 2 or at least 2 more people,
Yep.
because there's all different ends of energy. Like the
Yep.
police chief is very interested in bringing energy for his electric cars.
Yeah.
Yep.
The previous board wanted to do something about getting the word out within the community. A lot of people don't know that they can get audits, energy audits through their electric.
That's save. Yeah.
I mean, they get the paper every month, but it doesn't connect to them.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
like Amy Baudet, she was on there. She's known as the Energy Queen in Marlboro. She had an energy store. But she had to give it up because of her cancer.
Then there's the whole green communities, the green communities issue, where we're a green community, we have reporting requirements.
Yep.
Fortunately, we had Central Mass Regional Planning Commission stepped up and helped us with our green communities final report for last year, which I will be sure to share with you.
Okay.
So there's, while we're designated a green community, there's just ongoing reporting and compliance issues that we need to deal with.
Yep.
And last year, we also did the whole town with streetlights.
Yep. I read through some of those updates. I read through the thing about the electric behind the town building, so that the folks could in the town building could leverage it, including the police chief's car, because he's driving a Volt or something like that.
Yes.
And the
I s-
other thing is, we monitored, we made the contacts for the town to do energy aggregation.
Yep.
On a town-wide basis. If you're already in a third-party energy, a way to get your electricity, more power to you. But for those not inclined, we took care of that. And that's gonna be expiring, I believe, in June of 21.
21. Okay.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Other
Good to
than
know.
that, we just sat around shooting.
All right, so I guess we need to circle back to the clerk. I guess, can I nominate myself?
Oh,
I'll
I'll
nominate.
nominate you. I just didn't want you to start crying here on the
This is-
computer. That wouldn't look good.
This
Okay,
is what he gets for
nominate
staring at,
Steve Broder as clerk.
and I'll second that nomination.
I guess yes. For me, yes.
Eloise Halls, yes.
Jason Collier, yes.
I accept.
Okay, a unanimous vote.
Got it. All right. Steve, I'll do the minutes for you tonight.
Okay, I'm just trying to take
I'll
some
send them
notes.
to you to look them over.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then afterwards, they do need to be posted to my town government. And some committees say, oh, you have to wait till they get approved the next month. I just put them right up there because
Okay.
if there's an error, then you just correct it next month.
Yep.
But that way, people aren't calling you looking for your minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Good. So
All right,
you
so
are off and running. You've got yourself a chair and a clerk.
Nice. So and
Excellent.
we need to recruit.
Yes.
Recruit
Yeah,
them.
I was thinking about that. I was curious. So, I figured 3 or 4 people at a minimum is probably what we were looking for. 4 is probably a decent number, although you can end up in ties.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think
that's
the full members.
Usually, there's usually one member that doesn't show, in which case you have three.
Okay. Good to
But you're
know.
supposed to have 3 or 5
Okay.
All right.
nicely for that, but I found that really wasn't a big problem.
Okay. So I know we've talked a little bit about a bunch of the initiatives in the green communities, the reporting for that. You said that somebody stepped in to help us out with that. Is that typically something that the energy committee would be responsible for completing?
I believe the
Usually
ener-
Judy Booman did it in the past.
She was
Okay.
on the
The
energy.
Judy was a former selectman. She was the guiding force for the green communities. I was just there to make a quorum. But
Okay.
then she did all the reports. And for a batch of cookies, she'd probably do it again.
Okay, that's good to know.
You'll find, so it was the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission who actually did the Green Communities Annual Report for us. They do get funding to be able to support their member communities with certain initiatives. And we were lucky enough that we were able to get in on this particular one. So, I'd be certainly willing to reach out to them again to see if they can continue to help us in that regard.
Okay.
And that would save the committee a lot of work. Amy Grenier in our accounting office actually tracks, she does the Mass Energy Insight tracking. So we have to track our electric and fuel usage and report that to the state. So she does that internally and she is able to provide the data for those reports.
Okay.
So we kind of have a little bit of a system.
Yep. That's what it sounds like. It's good.
At some point, I think the Energy Committee has to see the report that was submitted.
Yes, I have to get that from CMRPC, and if I haven't yet, if I did receive it and I just haven't sent it to you, I apologize. I'll look and see if I know they sent me a final draft to review. I'll see if I've got the final one.
Okay. Can I ask one more thing? Can I interfere? Did we ever finish getting somebody to do potential maintenance on the street lighting?
We don't have anyone to do maintenance on the street lighting. We'd have to contract it out. So that requires a bucket truck. We attempted to enter into some sort of agreement with Boylston Municipal Light Department.
Yep.
But they never responded.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Thank you. Jason, back to you.
Yeah, so I guess the other question is Steve and I start trying to figure out the roles and responsibilities a little bit more clearly are really the goals. Is there something in particular that the town or the selectmen had for goals prior to us joining that we need to try to help the town meet for the coming year for 2021?
Usually we've looked at what state grants were out there, and we've had energy audits on the school. We had energy audits on the town offices and the highway barn.
Okay.
That's an excellent question because the Green Communities Energy Reduction Plan includes a list of potential projects. Isn't that right, Eloise?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a great resource to take a look at that and see what actual Green Communities grant the Energy Committee might want to look at applying for.
Okay.
The one that we've got right now.
Initially, they just gave out the grants, but the last couple of years, I think they wanted to see some town funding as a sort of that the town supports this.
Okay. So kind of don't just take the free money, show us that you can assist.
Yeah, I mean, when we looked at the audits, we obviously went for the low hanging fruit. And that would do, get you some energy reduction now. And we tried to keep it under 3 years. And we were getting to the point where we had done all those. And then maybe you'd go up to, you know, something for 5 years. But I haven't seen what the state's gonna do with the green energy. The other
Okay,
downside is we still have one project outstanding. And there are times when the state will not accept a new grant,
grant
a new
request.
submission, unless you've completed all your others.
Okay,
So the only way is if the Margaret disavowed training the highway on the computer system, the heating for the municipal building.
So no one stepped up to do the training on the energy management systems in our buildings. So the school received an energy management system, and the town also received one from a grant. That grant also included funding for, who was it, building operator
Yeah,
certification, or
The one
Okay.
who has a natural talent on that is Greg Tremelling.
yep,
He is an electrical engineer. And
he is.
that was the go-between with the energy audit company.
Okay,
now I'm connecting the dots. I saw an email from him about energy, and I thought, did not
Yeah,
know.
because if we need anything, he's now doing some side jobs of that nature.
okay.
And the
And
fact
is it
he lives in town is, you know,
with him being a prior volunteer and energy committee person, that's not something that we could actually pay him to do though, right? Because of the whole ethics issue.
if it's been over a year, then there's no ethics issue.
But there's also no budget.
Well, I
Yep.
understand that,
Okay.
but you have to be off the board for a year.
I might
They
be
call it the
able to-
cooling off period.
Understood.
Mhm.
So there's an open grant out there right now to train an HVAC technician on the control systems for the buildings, correct?
Correct.
I actually, oh, go ahead, Eloise.
And they were.
I
and
actually
the-
asked them
the
to
town
close it
wasn't
out.
able- I'm sorry, go ahead.
I actually asked them to close it out because I wanted the town, or we want the town to be able to avail itself of future grants. We don't want to be sitting on that one small piece and not be able to apply for any additional grants. I think we could certainly roll it into another grant application. But I asked them to
Okay.
close it out.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was something that needed to be voluntary. It couldn't just be a new assigned responsibilities for a town employee.
Well, that's what we were trying,
Mhm, mhm.
and I got
Okay.
a better response from a doorknob.
So what you were trying to do is get somebody within the
Right now,
town staff.
the highway department is also
Facilities.
burdened with the facilities.
With the
Mhm.
facilities. Okay,
Okay.
And there are times I think it's overwhelming in time for them.
and based on our discussion with Dave, I think he said that the guy that they had that were helping them with even their kind of energy management and heating system is no longer there. So they're trying to get back up to speed. So they probably don't have the skills or the talent to be able to train folks on an energy management system.
Mm.
No, we would send them to school, one for the town and one for the school.
Right.
Okay.
Time was a big concern, at least on the town's part. I don't know why, the school, I'm sure it was on the school's part too. So the school was asked.
It was very involved. It was.
Mhm.
I believe it.
Well, yeah,
About a
you're
year.
bringing someone up to the level of being essentially a controls technician. And
Yeah.
That's.
On the
highly
other
skilled.
hand, it would give you great marketable skills.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
A lot of those things can be dealt over the internet. You don't have to physically be there.
Correct.
You have
Yeah,
to be
now,
able to
Yes.
go in through the computer. Well, I mean, Greg did show us, and
Yep.
did listen.
Okay. I know Greg as well, so I might just reach out to him. I picked his brain a little
Okay.
before raising my hand and trying to recruit Steve to come with me for the energy committee. I spoke with Greg for a little bit, so.
That was a
Mhm.
smart move.
Yep.
The
Uh,
other one, Tim Wysocki would be a great resource for
Mhm.
the streetlights.
Yes, he would.
Okay, so I think that's what I want. I want us to be able to get a handle on it. Are the things that are like critical for us to take care of, or that we have like the town has a fiduciary responsibility to complete, and that burden would be on the energy committee, so that we can understand like the minimum objectives of the energy committee are. We need to ensure that the
What is that equipment that's on the town building that is not functioning? Margaret?
Oh, that is is it an air handler?
I
It's a
believe
big,
that's
huge
correct.
train unit, you know, it's.
Yeah, and so we were, I've been actively looking to see if there was a grant to replace that. Sometimes there is.
Okay. So are there, I guess one other thing, I mean, it's kind of a clean slate in a way, right? Because the energy committee's been vacant, other than Eloise, for a while, right? So
Mhm.
does it make sense for us to speak with each of the departments to understand what they have for energy needs, and objectives, or where their energy needs aren't being met, so that we can, Steve, is what I'm thinking, is we need to create a list of just, these are the standard things that we need to do to keep the lights on for the town for energy
Mhm.
committee purposes. And then there's what are people's wants, right, versus what their needs are, right? So these are the needs, these are the things that we have to be able to accomplish and we have to be able to get done. And these are the wants, or the things that we want to be able to look into or potentially file grants for, to have the projects completed. And I know number one is the highway building. Steve and I had a great visit with Dave last week. So he gave us the view and overview of the whole building. I actually came out of that with one of the questions actually was for you, Margaret, and I never emailed it to you. My question was specific to, what did the performance and payment bond that was pulled for the project cover? And was there a maintenance bond that went with that project from a surety perspective?
Which project was this one?
The
highway
highway
barn.
bond.
Oh, wow.
Tom Sanford of the planning board, he was the chairman of that committee.
Okay.
He is an engineer by training.
So
And a very nice
Long-
guy.
okay. long
He's
kind
he's
of
the new chairman of the planning board.
okay. I transitioned from financial services to insurance about 10 years ago. And when I got into the insurance world, I was in a specialty division, and it was actually surety bonds, and which I had really not a whole lot of knowledge about before going in, but coming out of it about 3.5 years later, I had a whole different appreciation for how to make sure that your projects get done, whether they're residential or commercial. And just talking to Dave last week, I thought to myself, boy, I'd love to talk to somebody to understand what the bond was and because some of the stuff he was talking to us about, with just general other issues with the building, should all be covered under that contractor's performance and payment bond or maintenance bond. With some of the issues, they would be obligated to pay for it. And if they wouldn't, or that contractor was gone, the insurance company would have to pay for it.
So Dave probably explained, well, actually, I don't know. Eloise, was there actually a clerk of the works there? I mean, a real clerk of the works?
I believe so.
Okay, then that would help. I'm sorry, this predated.
Yeah.
The
Well,
whole construction.
Who's the fake clerk of the works?
Well, it's not fake. I mean, a contracted clerk of the works, you know, a building construction professional who actually was there on a day-to-day basis overseeing the project. on
I
behalf
don't
of the
know.
town.
I know Tom went down at least once a week.
I think Dave said that clerk started the project but didn't finish it.
Yeah.
I think he said he might have left mid-project.
somehow that doesn't really surprise me.
But Tom
That-
Sanford is the guy to talk to about some of this stuff.
Yes.
It's separate to energy, but kind of related.
No,
anyway.
it isn't. They're all intertwined.
Yeah. Yep.
All the documents, I'm trying to think, so that would have been a major procurement. I'm guessing the select board's office would have all the documents on the construction
Okay.
of the buildings, so maybe we can try to pull those files.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can kind of check on that. Okay. All right. So annually then there's the Green Communities report
Mhm.
that has to get done, right? That's probably first and foremost, because I'm assuming as a green community, we are eligible for more grants and or open for consideration to more grants. And if we lose our status as a green community because we don't complete the report or the recommendations that they make, then it makes it much harder for us to do anything. So I think,
Sorta.
Steve, I see that as one of the most important things that we have to deal with on an annual basis, is
Yeah.
ensuring that gets done and knowing that there's some potential help out there. It's from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. That's really helpful.
Margaret, is Kelly Brown still our state rep?
Yes, we should invite Kelly to one of the meetings. Kelly Brown is the Department of Energy Resources Green Community Central Mass Region.
She's the
representative.
miracle worker.
She, so she's the
Okay.
contact.
And once you
Okay.
do something, she is the one that has to come by and walk through and confirm that,
Okay.
we've done lighting at the school, and she's the one that has to walk through and confirm that it was all done, and it was all done to specs.
Okay.
Okay.
She did a virtual walkthrough of that project this year,
Okay.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
worked for her.
Yep.
Speaking of reports, Margaret, you need to tell them about doing the annual report, even though they've only got 1 month under their belt.
Okay. So it's essentially probably going to be your minutes of this meeting that, I don't want to say your minutes of this meeting, but it's going to be a wrap up of everything you've discussed at this meeting. So at the end of the calendar year, boards and committees are to report on their activities for the prior calendar year.
Yep.
That report is submitted to the select board's office for inclusion in the annual town report, which will be published next year. So, but it's going to be reflective of this year's work. So
Yep.
I'm sure Eloise and I can kind of patchwork, fill you in on, projects that were closed out this year and things
Yep.
like that. So,
Okay. Okay, that's good. That'll be helpful. And then I think probably, Steve, what we want to do is we want to put some stuff together. Again, a lot of it has to do with the minutes, and that's why I want to talk about goals and objectives, is so that we can publish something in the report talking about some of the things that we plan on looking at for 2021.
Yeah.
That way the town and the community understands what some of the core goals are for 2021 from an energy perspective.
Just
And-
remember, a lot of people out in the audience are former town officials.
Yep.
So if you try to BS them, they
Oh,
go
you,
right through it.
what you will learn very quickly is that's neither Steve nor I are sugarcoaters. And we're not going to agree to an objective if we don't think we can actually meet it.
Well, you get, okay.
We're probably less political than most others, but we believe in the get stuff done approach. This is what we like to do. So and communicate clearly.
that's what the Energy Committee needs, are doers. That's what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess one question that I have about the green communities is there a minimum requirement that we have to, other than the report, is there a minimum requirement that we have to meet on a yearly basis
Yeah.
to show continuing, green community like growth?
Yep.
Just so
Well,
that, we're aware that there's some, smaller things that maybe we need to like meet while we're still trying to plan for like other projects.
Oh, definitely. That's why you go through the former audits that we have. And, maybe it's time that we do another audit. But a lot of
So-
what we did, because we don't have money, is because that's why you have to wait for the green communities and see what they come out with.
Okay,
Okay.
There is an energy reduction. There needs to be some energy reduction shown.
Action.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
And sometimes they're pushing, they go in all different areas. I mean, if we had a waterworks, they're willing to redo, your mechanicals for that. They tell you what they will support, and then you look through your audits and see what's lacking. Sometimes they push the lighting a lot.
Okay.
yeah, well, lighting's an easy one to take care of. you
yeah,
know?
yep,
So,
Okay.
so is it, we basically get audit, we get an audit from them, they make recommendations.
No, we don't get an audit from them. They see a copy of the audit, but they
Okay,
tell you, well, here's 10 people or 10 firms. And then you
Yep.
go out, and usually we went with the Marlboro because they were close and they were cost effective and they were timely.
okay,
They
And-
use the annual report and the Mass Energy Insight, the MEI data to see where the energy reduction has happened over the course of the past year through the projects that we have done.
You
So
ha- It's
really
on a
happy.
5-year rolling basis, and it had better keep going down.
okay,
And I mean, they take an interest on what vehicles you have. Your street
Okay.
lights should help you
Mhm,
here. I mean, it's well-rounded.
mhm, it is.
okay.
Also do
So-
stuff
Okay.
for the school.
So there's a lot of opportunities to show energy.
It can be.
reduction.
Usually it comes out in like October, but I have not seen anything, but this has been such a crazy year, that doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
The other thing, Eloise might have mentioned this already, we don't just have municipal energy aggregation, but we also have a solar power purchase agreement. So we actually, and I have yet to see the Schedule Z, so I don't know how our accounts are allocated to that PPE. So that's not something that I'm that familiar with, but I'm sure I could get you a copy of the power purchase agreement.
okay. And that's for all the town power, right? Basically like the town
It would be,
buildings?
it might be for all town power, or there could be just specific accounts that are on it. So I'll see if I
Okay.
can try to get you.
One of the former members, before he moved out of town, he went up Route 2, was Craig Gibo. He grew up here, and he now has his own little power company.
What's his last name again?
Gibo, Gebo. He used to live at 55 Colburn Road.
Okay.
And he's
Hello.
that did all the solar at Indian Head Farm. So if you needed to contact him, you could contact him through James,
Okay.
my assistant.
That, interestingly enough, if I think about the green communities and the need for us to show year-over-year energy reduction on a 5-year rolling period is what you said it needs to be.
I believe so.
I would think that we are, based on the energy that we're utilizing to heat that town barn, we could be in jeopardy of losing that green communities because,
Oh, you can't lose the green communities designation. They'll just
okay,
you on the hands, maybe bat you around the head a little bit, but
okay,
say,
All right.
what the hell?
okay. That's helpful to know because that would,
Well, because
we're
the
using a
state
ton of kilowatt hours.
never makes a mistake.
okay.
Remind me
Just
again
judges.
when that 5-year period started? How long have we been a green
I
community?
think we started in 2012.
Okay.
But it's a
the
rolling-
5-year
Problem
period.
is, then we had, they renovated the town hall. They got rid of the old town barn, got a new
Yeah.
town barn. So, and then they keep getting newer vehicles on additional vehicles.
Okay.
Okay,
I have good news. I'm forwarding you the Green Communities Annual Report that was submitted to the state from
Oh.
Ian McKelwey at we call it CMRPC, Central Mass Regional.
Okay. Awesome.
So you can pull from that to do the annual report too.
That's true.
Okay. Okay. So another clerical piece, the mentioning of the website and updating the minutes, et cetera, et cetera. How does that, do we have to have a certain type of login and password to do any of that type of work? Where we need to,
I can put you both on My Town Government.
okay,
okay,
Usually, as a matter of course, I include everybody on the committee. That way, in an emergency, and they do happen, illness, death in the family, whatever, or an emergency, you have to post and it's 2 a.m. or you can't sleep. That's why I have everybody in the system keeps track of who goes on and who changes what.
okay,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no cost to the town.
And it really is user friendly. It doesn't take
Okay.
time, really much time to learn it.
we're both fairly technical, so.
Might be too easy for you guys.
Well, let's not say that.
Yeah,
No, it's just you have to get into the rhythm.
Mhm.
Things have to be posted 48 hours in advance. You cannot add a Sunday, a holiday. And it's very hard when you're trying to corral people.
mhm. Okay, okay, so this is good. So you mentioned that it might be time for us to call for an audit again. Now, is that something that there is ongoing budget for us to be able to do the audit, or do we have to get a grant in order to get that audit to be?
Well, that's why we started the Energy Stabilization Fund, because a lot of times
That's true.
you want
You're
it.
right.
If you have money at the end of the year, it
Yep.
dies. The only way you could roll it over is to put it somewhere in the energy stabilization. The downside is it takes what,
2/3.
50% to put it in, but 2/3 to
Oh,
out.
yeah, to take it out. Mhm.
Okay,
And you
That's-
have to be able to remember to take it out 15, 12, a considerable amount of lead time.
okay,
All right.
With respect to the Energy Stabilization Fund, it has been created, but it's not yet seeing recurring funding. That is something that we're going to have to bring to town meeting.
Yep.
I think there was some seed funding put in. Again, that's something that happened before I got here.
Yep.
But there is going to need to be a town meeting vote to allow the municipal energy aggregation adder to automatically feed that energy stabilization fund. So it'll automatically fund that. We get periodic adder payments. So that's something that we're going to have to do.
Is that something that we have like an annual goal for?
No, it's ongoing. So the adders come on an ongoing basis. So once
Mhm.
they're turned over to the town, or once the town receives them, once town meeting votes to have those automatically put into the stabilization fund, you'll start seeing recurring funding. There won't have to be additional action to put the money in.
Okay.
Only the town meeting 2/3 vote to take it out.
to take it out.
Mhm.
Okay,
Is that right, Eloise?
I believe so.
Okay.
so the aggregation, the municipal power aggregation that we're all kind of part of provides additional adder funds
Mhm.
for us
Correct.
to be able to do
I
this
believe
stuff.
it's 2.02 per kilowatt hour.
Okay,
And that's
Okay.
because a lot of things that we wanted to do, they wanted upfront money. And we had none.
okay. And where are those adders going today if they're not automatically going into?
I have no idea.
I think the accountant is somehow segregating them, even though they should be considered general fund revenues, absent the commitment to put them in the energy stabilization. But she has absolutely been tracking those. So she should know when we get to a town meeting to actually allow for that recurring funding. We should also be allowed to take this pot of money that's been sitting, waiting to go in and put it in at that time.
Okay,
Margaret, would you produce that article, please?
I will produce an article, yes.
Well, the thing is, if you wait too long, everything is a crunch. So if you know about something, put it in earlier.
yep,
Or we forget, and we know
Yep,
how that.
it
easy
gets
that
lost in the shuffle.
understood.
Mhm.
So what did you two want to be on? Why? Let's start with Jason.
Why did I want to be on the committee?
Yeah?
Oh, okay. One, I wanted to be able to, I had never had the experience of being on a town board or anything like that. And I wanted to be able to try to help out the town in whatever way, because we made a commitment to being here for a while. Love the school system. We got small kids that we don't want to move out of here. So I said, well, how can I get myself involved and maybe leverage some of the things that I've learned over time to help out the town in this area? And part of my master's degree is in sustainability, so essentially going green.
Alright.
So I actually have a fair amount of contacts throughout it, especially in the educational world. So one of my former professors actually runs the entire sustainability program for Clark as well as the Harvard Extension School. So I know that I have the right contacts and I have the right access to information and good referrals to folks. So on what we can do, as well as, to be candid, I remember having to do my own type of capstone project, and it was all volunteer based, right? So interns to help us with some of this stuff and understand some of the analyses, are not out of shot for us to be able to do, assuming that it follows all the rules and regulations that we have to follow from a town governance perspective. But having that additional insight into what's available and out there, they're always on the cutting edge of the stuff, right? And that's something Steve and I were talking about. When I think about the 12.5 that for the Meta grant, I believe it's overall it's an energy grant, right? It's not solar specific.
Correct.
Well,
Or
except,
was that grant?
except that the application did focus on specifically on solar at the highway garage.
Okay.
So the Meta could have covered a number of things, but when we applied, it was solely focused on the solar at the highway barn.
Because what I think both Steve and I were talking about, that we wanted to maybe ensure as we looked at the folks that could actually do that evaluation for us, is we'd love to have somebody that is capable of doing a thorough analysis of not just solar, but all the additional opportunities that there might be for efficiently powering the location, so that we can be sure that we're not just caught up in the glitz and glam of solar, because there are
Well,
plenty
we
of other
want the global picture.
there are other alternatives out there like geothermal and a few other things that we could potentially go for.
I believe a geothermal president lives on Pleasant Street, one of the nice houses
Excellent.
across from Indian Head Farm.
Oh,
Call his last name. Now,
okay.
I think Greg Tremelling used to work for him.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Steve, in 50 words or less?
Well, my wife and I moved here about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. Primarily just to get into the school system. You know, we were in Marlboro for, you know, she's born and bred there. I'm a Western Mass original. And, you know, when we were here, you know, in the first year, I went to the town meeting, and it was, you know, this like amazing event of just seeing like the townspeople and everything. And I've been just looking for something to get involved in over the years. And then Jay came knocking, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, this actually fits. It's like, you know, I currently work for an engineering design firm who designs, you know, clean room spaces and manufacturing buildings and things like that. So one of my jobs is I manage projects for, you know, commissioning qualification of like HVAC systems and utilities and drains and all kinds of things like that. And it just kind of fit in, you know, and it's like I figured I can take some of my, you know, learned skills from my occupation and see if we can do good for the town, you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both.
You've got excellent credentials.
Well, wanting to is the biggest one.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
make it clear that I am not an engineer. But I do, my background is in biology and the sciences. So it's like there's, so I've always kind of had like a, you know, I understand the science of these things. And I, you know, I mean, just the other day, I was looking for one of my HVAC engineers because I wanted to ask him some questions about some of the stuff I saw in the drawings to see if I could get him to explain some things to me. So I'm definitely going to be leveraging some work buddies to just kind of, you know, give us some, give me some pointers and things like that.
That's excellent. Excellent.
So that's, so
Well,
this
thank you
is,
very much for those introductions. This meeting is being recorded, by the way. So with Zoom, you know, with the Zoom platform, we're able to automatically record meetings. I have to say, and I should probably go right back to the very beginning of the meeting. This meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. I had put the recording on pause, and we missed the nominations and election of chair. So just to reiterate for the audience, the motion for chair was made by Eloise Saul, seconded by Steve Broder, and there was a roll call vote 3-0 for Jason Collier to serve as chair. We got the other one.
oh,
Okay.
excellent. Good. Awesome. So I will, I think from here, this provides us a really good basis for understanding what we have in front of us and some of the things that we need to do in order
When do you want to meet next?
It's a good question. What is the typical cadence been for?
Usually it was the third Thursday of the month, but it goes by your availability.
Okay.
There's nothing sacred. It's just you have to notify 48 hours in advance. And since James and I control my town government, you know, if there are major changes, then let me know now and we'll implement them.
Okay. And we're required to have a meeting monthly?
No.
No,
No. Okay.
but
Okay.
a lot of times you do at the beginning just because you don't know what is it that you want to do. When usually the grants are due around Valentine's Day.
Okay.
If you want a special article, that usually needs to be to the selectmen once again around Valentine's Day.
Okay.
All right.
It's just you have to think 18 to 24 months in advance, really.
Yeah.
All right. So let's, I mean, I guess, so let's plan on doing this monthly to start. So it's now, today's 12/15.
Yep.
What about January? What's today, Tuesday? So it could be January 12th, or if we want to do them on Thursdays, it could be the 14th.
It's whenever the majority can be there.
I can do either of those, Steve.
Yeah, I don't have anything on my calendar either. So do we want to
Okay.
say the 12th and we'll keep it to a Tuesday for now?
Okay, and What about the time? Is 7 too early or too late?
I can, with a month's advance notice, I can make sure that I can do 7 o'clock. Does that work for
Okay.
you, Jay?
Yeah, same here.
Okay,
And the other thing is, a meeting isn't legal unless it has an agenda.
and that has to
Okay.
be published 48 hours ahead of time, is that?
Yeah,
that
I
is?
try to put up a skeleton one, just so that, I am old and I forget. And that way, you can always update it closer to the meeting. I find that works, because if you don't have an agenda up there, it's not legal, period. And I
Okay.
can help you then.
And that goes on My Town Government, right? Just
Yep.
on, okay,
I will book the Zoom meeting and provide you the Zoom information for the agenda.
Okay.
okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, and then Jason and Steve, could you send me an email so I can confirm whichever email you would like to be posted with at My Town Government? It's not available for public consumption, but I have
Yes.
My Town Government, so that if you do log in from these places, it recognizes you.
Okay,
Yep. We'll pass that over.
yeah, that's easy.
Okay, that'd be townclerk@townofberlin.com, short and sweet.
All right.
All right.
So, I mean, I guess, just to go briefly over, to talk about like what we did with the town barn. I reviewed the drawings that I got from the project as it was done originally. And one of the things that stood out to me was, the sheer size of the solar project there. It's like all the drawings say that the building was essentially supposed to be net zero. But one of the things that I was looking at that I want to follow up on was that with every, electrical requirement of this size, you have to actually have a panel associated with it. And whereas on the drawing, the panel was there, but it didn't show, like, it didn't read that there was anything there really. So it didn't show that there was any potential service, brought. So just for my own personal knowledge, that way we know when we're having the evaluation done, if we even have that panel in the building, if we were able to go ahead with the electrical, I'm sorry, with the panels.
I would strongly suggest that you write down these different questions.
Mm.
Yep.
You can get them to Tom Sanford, and then you can have a phone call with him or a face-to-face.
Okay.
Okay.
But I don't think it's, I think it's better if you give him a notice of what you're asking.
I can do
I guess
that.
that really is the best first step to find out what's there, or what might not be there that's shown in the plans.
Right, because
Well, I know they had the plans. It was supposed to go to a zero a year after it was built, but then it didn't happen. And so I would not be surprised if they just stopped that part of it and then just left the plans alone. And it-
Yeah,
Okay.
one of my thoughts was that when the electrical goes in the building relatively early, like really early after like the base, structure goes up, is that while the electrical is going in, I mean, who knows how long, where in the project the solar was opted out of. But if that panel is there and it's still sized correctly and it's wired correctly, that could be a huge savings for the town.
Yeah.
Especially when we're looking at, a full hookup, because that's one of the things that whatever contractor we go with is that they're going to look at that. So it would be nice if it's something that we had already paid for, it was already installed and is just sitting there waiting to be tied into. But
Mm.
I'll get that question over to Tom Sanford. And
Yeah,
we
so
can
that
get some
Tom
more
doesn't
detail
come
on it.
back and haunt me. You might want to combine your questions, just because that way it's all at once and,
Oh, yeah, always, trust me,
Yeah.
and this is something I know, it's like better to send one giant email with lots of questions than to bombard someone with 20 emails with one question each.
particularly at this time of the year.
Yeah,
So with respect to the consulting piece of this, or engineering consulting and procurement, or whatever's going to be part of this project, we had submitted the project summary with the Meta Grant application. Did you have a chance to look that over?
I did.
Because it seems, and I'm happy to talk with Kelly Brown at Green Communities about whether we can expand, with exploring other renewable options as well. But it seems like this might be the basis for the scope of work. At least it provides a framework of what we're looking for them to do. So my suggestion is for your next meeting to maybe finalize, or at your next meeting, finalize the scope of work so we can then issue the request for quotes.
Okay.
And you said you know of some engineers and consultants that we could actually send the request for quotes to, correct? And
Probably, yeah.
okay, I've got a short list here from the state's OSD, and I'll give you the names. Actually, I'm going to give you the full list
Okay.
of vendors that might qualify under this particular grant opportunity. So
Okay.
you can look
Perfect.
them over. We can send requests for quotes to as many consultants as you want to. So,
Right.
okay.
Yep. Okay, that's good. That's helpful, because what I'll probably do is I'll probably reach out to my contacts just to ask them who they might recommend and see where they fall on that list.
Yes.
And
Margaret?
as long as
Didn't you have a walkthrough with somebody and Dave? It was maybe in the fall, not this,
Yeah.
maybe. Did we ever get a report?
We do. It's B2Q. Did you both get the report, the B2, was it B2Q? Is that what it's called? B2Q Associates? It might actually be in a different file. I might have to get that to you. That was a
Okay.
free, audit.
okay.
I know, but sometimes it comes out with a little bit of nuggets. Sometimes they're
Yep.
not,
That's right.
they're on.
Mhm.
You just take them as they are.
Okay.
And if, Margaret, if you are talking to Kelly Brown, you might ask her what their reputation is.
They're on the list, Eloise.
Oh, okay.
He was nice. The thing on this list, though, is I don't know if all of the vendors on this list do the work that's going to be built into the scope of work. So there might be some who do, who specialize in energy management systems, as opposed to, looking at sites and evaluating the potential for, arrays and things. So that's where you guys come in.
Yep. Understood.
Well, that would also be Amy's.
Okay.
Sure should be available as a resource to the committee.
Okay.
She only voted for the highway barn because it was getting solar.
yeah.
So to say she was disappointed was an understatement.
Okay. Do you, Eloise, do you have any of her contact information?
Yep. When you send me your email, I'll send it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
She lives on River Road West.
Oh, okay. Probably drive by her house daily.
Yeah, because you need different people to come at it from different areas, figuring that they all represent the questions of the different types of people in the town.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, when I looked at the energy usage breakdown versus some of the documentation, I think even the energy usage in that barn is a bit higher than what we expected, because we were looking for net zero And I think I saw one of the documents mentioned something about 87,000 kilowatt hours per year is what we needed to generate. But it looks based on the usage that they're over 110,000 for the last fiscal year. So, it was a really, Steve, would you say it was 200 plus panels?
Yeah, I did a count with
That's-
like 207.
Yeah, that's a big system, right? So
Mm.
I think that we'll have to think through that. The good news is that I believe it was evaluated both, there was a roof mount, but there's also the potential for a ground-based array out there too, because there's a fair amount of land, and actually most of it's cleared, which
Mhm.
is nice. When we drove around the building.
Yeah, the drawing
Underneath
show an
gravel
alternate-
The drawing showed it too? The
Yeah,
ground
well,
mount?
the drawing showed it in an alternate location in the back. However, when you look at the layout of the site plan, they do have their their needs for that land as well. It's like they've got some, a couple of buildings in the back there that they need, and I believe there's some space for gravel or things like that. So
Yeah,
we
they
definitely, we need to be, before we start suggesting, I mean, as much as I love ground mount systems, we need to be aware of their requirements for the building and how they're going to be
Right.
using the building.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, they always wanted to keep the equipment under a roof because it lasts longer.
Yes.
Right.
And there was talk about moving the salt shed, but when they looked at the salt shed, it was, they didn't think it would last the trip from,
I don't think so.
so, yeah. Once you get in an idea, then you'd go and you talk to the different people.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we're at a point right now where we'll get
It's just
our-
fact finding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get our basics done and taken care of, and then there comes time for, you want to call it creativity.
Mhm.
See,
Mhm.
see
Well,
what kind of
sometimes-
ideas we can come up with, and see what kinds of things we can get for the town to help improve things.
Yep.
So I've seen in the past, this is where the solar power purchase agreement might come in, because I haven't really read it. There really hasn't been the opportunity for major energy savings. I need to know, because I've seen this in other PPAs. We need to make sure that there's no penalty for us. I don't want to say over generating. If we've committed to a certain amount of power through that power purchase agreement, that
Yep.
we don't want to find ourselves, overreaching. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't know those details yet, but we'll find that PPA.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, then something like that would force some creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
trying to
it's so
figure
in that
something out.
sense, it's good news that they're using so much more power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Put
Yep.
all of that to
Well,
solar.
the highway bond always did. When I was a treasurer, their bills were horrendous in the winter because they had to keep the trucks on so that their core wouldn't freeze up. And that
Yeah.
they were trying to prevent.
Yikes. Okay.
Well, we'll have fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will. Yep, we'll have fun. We'll make some improvement. We'll make some progress and headway.
Yep.
And with any luck, we'll find a way to reduce the financial burden of the current run rate at the barn.
Right.
Mm.
And then maybe we can have some of that, we can make it overflow into other areas and maybe save us as well.
Mhm.
That'd be great. Invest in a couple of, what are they, electric vehicle charging stations.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're
Well,
actually we're reducing
That's
the
what
parking-
Chief Galvin wants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're supposed
But
to.
that has its own can of worms.
It does.
How anybody, do you make them pay?
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
are 3 or 4 charging stations down behind Panera.
Yes. That was the first thought that came to my head was, that's not that far away. But nobody wants to drive down there to charge up their car, right?
Right, but,
It
I
would
mean,
be much
that's
more
Unless you work
convenient.
right there.
Yeah,
but that's part of the Tesla network. You pay for that.
yeah,
You know,
So we have a
yeah. That is, they are
grant.
Tesla specific, right? Yeah,
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. And you can use the Tesla network not having a Tesla, but you pay a premium over what Tesla charges you.
okay,
You know, most times with purchases of new Teslas, you get like unlimited charging for like a certain amount of time. And then you pay whatever it is. It's like, it's cheaper electric than what you pay for in your home.
in your home.
But if you're essentially, you want to call it out of network, you know, there's adapters and things that you can use, but I mean, they're going to end up charging you more than what you pay at your house. You know, yeah, the good things too is that, you know, technology is constantly advancing. So whatever was originally spec'd for sizing on the barn, I mean, panels generate more and more power in the same square footage. So we may be
Yeah.
able to actually increase to, you know, to help offset that overage that, you know, that what, roughly 20,000, you know, hours that we hadn't expected.
Yeah, even if the panels are 20% more efficient than they were before, you know, probably
Right.
3 years ago when it was scoped, then we're in good shape and we can
Right.
cover.
It's the equivalent of adding like 40 more panels,
Yeah.
you know, which will generate a ton of electricity.
Good.
You know. Like I said, I would love a windmill.
Are we actually high
Maybe
enough?
down at the town pond, we can work something out.
Yeah.
No, it's just that they're large, they're noisy,
Yeah, very
but-
noisy.
but they do put them in the right spot and they do great work. And they tend to run whenever, you know, the sun isn't out, you know, so they're a great complement to solar panels.
Mhm.
Okay, Mount Fisker it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll just run an extension cord.
yep.
There you go. Always thinking. Yep. At some point you might talk about battery backup, but that's getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, we did already with Dave. We told him we wanted to line the barn with power walls, which are a Tesla product, which is a great alternative to a generator if you want to talk about doing good for the environment. I mean, it's a big, huge battery, which isn't great because the disposal of a big, huge battery isn't good, but the noise and air pollution that come with a standard generator are not
Right.
real nice. So
Well, the nice thing about stored power is that if you have enough storage space and enough generation, then you can essentially, I mean, not that the barn would like disconnect from the grid, but you can essentially call it an off-grid building if it's just supplying all of its own power, you know. But I mean, that's a huge undertaking. I mean, that's something to just start gathering details on and, you know, see what grants come up.
Okay, well, I look forward to working with both of you.
Well, thank you.
likewise. All right. So what do we do? I don't want to take up too much more time. I think we got a ton of information. I think we got some small action items here, a bunch of I like to call education for us to do through reading through kind of past documents and all the
Okay.
different pieces.
One other thing I would like to say is if you have questions, email it to everybody so that, you know, if somebody doesn't want it, they can just delete it. But this way, everybody hears the same thing.
Right.
Okay, I think you have to take a roll call vote to leave.
Okay. So,
You would adjourn.
yep. So motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay.
All in favor?
Oh, you have to
Aye.
roll call.
Oh, roll call. Sorry.
Eloise, yes.
Steve, yes.
Jason, yes.
Well, this was great.